So if you've been with us for a while, we've talked about materials, laminations, even high-end decorative effects for your packaging. So I thought today it would be really interesting and fun for us to bring Tim Jepson, Senior Prepress Technician here at Nosco, to talk with us a little bit about design considerations for your flexible pouches. Hey Tim, thanks so much for being here with us on the channel today. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you bet. When it comes to color considerations for pouches, especially as it relates to digital print, what do our viewers need to be aware of?
I think the main thing is using CMYK or Pantone colors when designing their artwork. Sometimes there could be challenges with converting RGB or lab colors to CMYK, and you can have some unexpected results. Maybe the colors don't convert the way they think, so we'd prefer to have them converted on their end before even providing us with a file.
Okay, and then that gives them the opportunity to see any of those conversion challenges that maybe we've experienced before, just eliminates a little bit more back and forth, right?
Yeah, exactly.
This one's a fun one for me. In many of our previous episodes, we've talked about material selections, metallized films, clear films that we want to create like a window, or in the metallized film example, we want to showcase a shimmer or something like that, utilizing the metallized material as a graphic or an embellishment element to the pouch. So now we've got to print white ink, which can be a bit of a challenge at times, right? What do our customers need to be aware of for white ink specifically as it relates to these pouches?
I think the best thing is to create a new art layer in their Illustrator file, and you could create knockouts for the areas where you don't want white ink. Like let's say you want a window if it's printing on clear and you want to be able to see the product inside the pouch. So those areas you'd want to have knocked out, and then the same goes with if it's printing on a metallic substrate. If you want to have the shimmer coming through, you would want to have those areas knocked out of your white ink as well.
So what you're saying is realistically, like our customers will want to build that into a separate layer so it's a little bit easier for us to interpret.
Exactly. It takes some of the guesswork out of it for our pre-press operators here.
Tim, one more thing that I've just, from my experience, have seen a number of times when you're trying to identify a white layer for white ink coverage or something of that sort. Do we really want that to be white?
No, it's best to have it colorized with a swatch from your file, because otherwise we might not even see it. If it's white and it's covering another object, we might not even know it's there.
Yeah, I know I personally looked at some customer files and didn't identify that there was a white layer in there until basically it got to you, and I tried to anticipate that up front. So, I mean, we got there, we caught it, but it's a little easier to identify as a separate color, right?
Yeah, especially if you can, it's obvious and you can see it.
Right. So, we've got another element associated with pouch design that comes to be a critical decision as it relates to the edges of our pouches and the layout of the graphics. Talk to me a little bit about that.
Well, if they're asymmetrical, like in this piece here, Nosco likes to call it a picture frame. So we put a frame around the edges to make it symmetrical. So like you see on this one does not have a picture frame, and you're having graphics from this side of the pouch end up on this side during the manufacturing process. So it kind of helps make it look cleaner for the final product.
Gotcha. And as we see on this pouch here, right, you've got a little bit of that bleed over from the previous pouch through the pouch making process. So we're really kind of just anticipating that. It's kind of what we're doing, right? And I know brands sometimes will already have this factored into their artwork, or to your point, you said asymmetrical or symmetrical. If it's even on each side, that's kind of an unnecessary step, right?
Right, exactly.
But it's really a consideration that the brands and the designers need to anticipate before they submit their graphics.
Yeah, and it could be different. It could be white or whatever looks best with their artwork.
Sure.
Clear, even if it's on a clear material. We've seen a lot of different ways people have done picture framing.
That makes sense. So, Tim, are there any other considerations that we should be aware of?
Yeah, not having artwork in the eye mark lane is one. Solid colors are okay, but if there's artwork, it can trip up the camera on the pouch machine. Other considerations are not putting critical text or like barcodes in the seal or zipper areas because they tend to wrinkle a little bit in the manufacturing process. And also keeping in mind hanger holes and tear notches, not having graphics that could potentially get cut out with the final product.
Sure, sure. This has been super interesting, Tim. Thanks so much for all the additional details and considerations we need to be aware of when laying out and designing our pouches. We really appreciate you being on the channel with us today.
Thank you, Steve.
If you're interested in learning more about design considerations like fonts, graphics, etc., go ahead and click the link in the description below. As always, like and subscribe. This is Nosco Unpacked, flexible packaging made easy. See you next time.